Here we go. Man, this is lesson 11. And today, this lesson 11 here is really this big culmination point. We are going to be building your perfect week. Okay? So now we're going to take everything that we've really built, that we've been building up until this point. So you've got just a little review here. And if you're just tuning in by some chance on this episode and you haven't listened to the other lessons or watched the other lessons, highly encourage, go back to number 1, because each one, as you can imagine, each one builds on the other one. And so everything that we've been building, so let's see, we've outlined the overall journey. We have really helped to hopefully shift your beliefs at least a tiny little bit to view the bigger picture of what is possible for you and your life. So you give yourself permission to dream as big as you possibly can, and even more importantly, to ask the right questions. We talked about the importance of doing what you love to do and how that acts as a catalyst, how that acts as essentially your weapon to go on this journey and like ultimately this anchor point. And we've also discovered how you may have multiple different things that you're passionate about. And, so much of what is out there, at least what I've seen, the courses that I've taken, the things that I've studied, the workshops I've attended, the coaches that I've worked with, all these different things, the podcasts that I've listened to, so much of it is on how to just do one thing really, really well. And that is huge. That's important. And that's really what we're trying to do here. The big difference is, and this is a huge difference, the big difference is we are expanding our scope of what we label and structure as that one thing. And so instead of just the one thing being, fitness coaching, or the one thing being Instagram ads, or the one thing being, YouTube podcast channel, whatever that might be, because obviously, when you're just focusing on one little element of that, it's very easy to go deep. And that's why it's important to focus on one thing. I'm not saying that any of the other stuff is wrong. It's just in my experience for, and really this whole course, this whole process has just been a birthing out of my own frustration of not really feeling like I had the tools and the education and not really being able to find the information that I've been looking for. And so essentially I just took it upon myself to create my own version of what I felt was important and ultimately what I wish that I had going through this journey and starting through this journey and continuing on this journey. And so what we're ultimately doing is taking everything that we love to do and condensing it and really distilling it to fundamentally identify and clarify and specify the essence of what we are really here to do, ultimately our purpose. And being able to take all of those different elements that it means to just be a highly functional, intelligent, responsible, and I've heard a few different definitions of the word responsible, but a theme of one that I really like, that I resonate with is, and I think Brandon Joe Williams, one of the guys that I've been studying, one of my teachers, he said that at the simplest level, responsibility is just the ability to respond. You're like, oh, no shit. And it's amazing how profound the most simplest things can be. So that responsibility and what you're here to do, your purpose, being able to take all of those different elements. Because again, if you're running Facebook ads, if you're doing a podcast, if you're a one-on-one trainer, like that's just one element. What about your relationships? What about your personal health? What about your own spiritual growth and development, whatever that looks like for you? What about different aspirations that you have, different dreams that you have that maybe on the surface seem very distant and unrelated? How do we take all of those different things and create one foundational system that encompasses all of those things? Again, just in the same way that you might take a course on running Facebook ads, it's just the example that keeps coming up, or, starting your own podcast, or really just starting your own business, and all of the different elements that would be included in that, kind of like a blueprint. This is the blueprint for your entire life. And it's not a blueprint in the sense that this is the one way that things have to be built. It's a blueprint in the sense that this is an ever evolving, ever expanding, ever adjustable and modifiable to suit your individual needs template to be able to take. And my goal, my desire is to be able to share and communicate effectively enough the basic principles so that you can understand, understand the way things are and why they work, and kind of the way that they work together in the system that I've created, so that ultimately you can take this and yes, you can just take the template, you can just take the step-by-step process, because again, the way this shit's laid out, even if you just do the step-by-step process, you're going to be building this thing for yourself. So ultimately, this isn't like a copy and paste sort of thing. This is a template that you take as your own, and then you build it in the way that best suits you. At least that's my intention. That's what I'm really trying to do here. Okay? And going through that process, we've identified the process of even how God, how unconditional love, how just yes to everything, how everythingness, how source, whatever the fuck you want to call it, the universe, however that is, whatever that label, however that concept is for you. And I do encourage you to develop your own concept and your own meaning of God. I don't have anything against, religions. I think there's a lot of different places that can be a great starting point. It's just being mindful that truth is relative and absolute at the same time. That is what I am coming to know. There is reality as it is, which is just the fundamental essence of everythingness, while at the same time and encompassed in the everythingness is the nothingness. The nothing and the everything are basically, two sides of the same thing, two sides of the same coin, just like day and night, hot, cold, yin, yang, dry, wet, whatever you want to call it, masculine, feminine. So both are needed to have an experience, but there's I think it's I'm going to fuck this up. The yin yang symbol, the two little fishes with the eyes symbol. I think it's called the tight. No, I don't know. I don't want to fuck it up. But you know what I'm talking about, that black and white image, everybody knows. And then there's actually, you can kind of create this dotted line around it. If you can imagine, you got the circle, you got the black fish, and you got the white fish with the black eye, and the black fish with the white eye, which, just that symbol in itself, you can speak volumes and how many different ways that it can be interpreted, and all the different elements of that in something that is so fucking simple. And that's the beauty of it. But then even a little beyond that, because that is the unity of the duality. Okay? But if you can imagine, if you drew like a dotted line circle around that symbol, that dotted line circle represents, and I learned this from Paul Chek, that dotted line circle represents the Tao that cannot be spoken. Remember, words are conditions. So the Tao that cannot be spoken is kind of like this. Again, we're using words, so we're already fucking off. It's already way off. But just for, educational sake, just to get an idea, just to point, just to be a finger pointing, but don't look at the finger. Try to, look at what it's pointing to. The dotted line represents the kind of the foundational space, if you will, the foundational kind of like the substrate essence that allows for all that can exist. And I would even, and again, like this is me getting off into a little bit of theory land, but I would even, just from my own explorations into these ideas, I would even say that, this is beyond the void, because formlessness and form go together. Like one cannot exist without the other. Like when you say formlessness, you're already implying that there's something that is not formlessness, because why would you even need to use that word? And so underlying even that concept, form and formlessness, which again, like the yin and the yang, the duality, and even the unity of the knowingness that the two need to be one, because they cannot exist without the other. Because in reality, the entire universe, and this is what I'm getting with kind of the absolute truth, the reality is that the entire universe is in perfect harmony. But because it's in perfect harmony, or I wouldn't necessarily say because it's in perfect harmony, but due to it being in perfect harmony, the only way to have an experience is to create the illusion of imbalance. But in fact, everything is imbalance. Again, this is why there's the hot and the cold and the day and the night and the seasons and all of these different cycles and patterns that you can just recognize in your day-to-day life. Everything is in balance. There's seeming, it's like a pendulum swinging. It's like there's a seeming imbalance, but ultimately the momentum of that imbalance is carried through by an equal and opposite force to swing the other way. Okay? So that, again, the words and however you want to label and conceptualize all these things, I'm just sharing what has been useful for me. And this gets into the next point. So that's like the absolute truth. The relative truth is what I'm sharing with you, which is ultimately, it's just my own interpretation, which is founded upon the thoughts that I think and the beliefs that I hold, the kind of the paradigms that I'm operating under, which then manifest as a projection that I kind of put out into the world, what I identify as outside of me, which again, the absolute truth is there is no difference between what is inside and what is outside. These are just labels that we create through the mind that help us to interact and have a relationship with what we identify as outside of us, but it's ultimately just all self. It's ultimately just all different aspects of ourself. So the beliefs, the paradigms, the thoughts that I have, like all of these different constructs that I've developed or been, programmed, you can even say, it's just kind of like the information, the memory, the knowledge that is just inherent in the DNA, the information that constructs this body. There's so many different rabbit holes you can go down with that, but ultimately all of that shapes my relative truth, like my own personal truth, which then, like I said, I project it out and gets mirrored back to me as a reflection of how I experience the world. And just an easy example, if all my thoughts and my beliefs are centered around separation and this person did this to me, and like, why is this like that, and it's all out of my control, and the world's falling apart, and that pisses me off, and this makes me sad, and XYZ is whatever. You just look around, just fucking look around, and you see the product of the different ways of thinking and believing that different people hold, which again, there's no right, wrong here. There's no judgment here. And that's why it's really a matter of usefulness when it comes to your own relative truth. Like, what is useful? Is being sad about everything and being angry about everything and, throwing temper tantrums and victimizing yourself and feeling powerless and feeling hopeless and getting all depressed, is that useful for you? At certain periods of your life, it may very well be the most useful thing for you. But if that's your default mode, if that's your, what's the term? The modus operandi, I probably fucked that up. But if that's like just your fundamental mode of operating, is that working for you? Is that creating the life that that you're here to live? Is that fulfilling the purpose that maybe you've forgotten, but that deep down you have a knowingness of what that is? Is that fulfilling that purpose? If so, keep doing what you're doing. More power to you, bro. If not, go look at the fucking mirror. Or you don't even have to look in the fucking mirror. Just look at your life. Look at what is being reflected back to you, and recognize that what is being reflected back to you is your projection, because there is no separation. Okay? And that's your relative truth. And we went on, that was a whole fucking digression there. But ultimately, how that ties in is being able to recognize, and we went through the process of how love comes to know itself and has its own unique expression through you as a co-creator with the creator, because you and the creator are one and the same thing. So how does that uniquely get expressed through you? And those are the life types, okay? And then from the life types, we've identified ultimately what are the key aspects, what are the key processes that I need to non-negotiably commit myself to on a regular basis that are going to be in line with, and this is the divine nine, with the ultimate intention, the ultimate the intention, the purpose, the ultimate result, the roles that you play within the different life types, the different modes of expression, the 3 to thrive, your resources that you have available to you, intrinsic and extrinsic, internal, external, that you can draw upon to realize the intention of the lifetime. Your 90-day goals, your 1-year goals, or more accurately, results that you would like to see realized. And then, like I said, the key process, and then how are you measuring these? And ideally, remember the ultimate result and the 90-day and 1-year results, and then the key process and the KPI, the key performance indicator, and the frequency at which you are measuring that. All of those should be aligned in some way, so that, kind of like gears that are all connected. One, just moving one knob influences the rest. And then your job, once you create this system, and this actually is kind of getting into the later lessons, but once you create this system, then you can continue to optimize the processes so that things, basically you kind of create more and more and more and more and more and more leverage, so that, just like doing this podcast where, a half hour of my time basically does the work of, just as the example, spending a half hour of time creating this podcast, moves me miles further where I'm trying to go. Just like, if you're riding a bike and you turn the gears, all the way up, you might have to, and this is where the momentum is important. Actually, I kind of like this analogy of the bike. Because you get some momentum first. You kind of start with, the lower gears. You get things rolling, because at the lower gears, it's easier to move. Although you're moving a lot while not creating a lot of motion, but that's kind of a necessary step. But then once you get some momentum, you turn the gears up. Because if you started with the gears really high, which again, you can do. And I guess that's kind of the route that I've taken on some of the things. If you start with the gears really high, you have to push really hard to get it moving. But once you get it moving, you can actually, how far and how fast you move relative to how much you are actually pushing the pedal, there's a bigger and bigger difference. So it's like, it's all about RPMs, and hell, the whole last lesson was on RPM. So how fitting. So one revolution of the pedal might equal, at the highest gear, 10 revolutions of the wheel. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, on the lowest gears, one revolution of the pedal might only be like a quarter revolution of the wheel. So you see the difference there? So once we get these systems into place, so basically once you've built the bike with the whole gear system in place and everything's kind of put together and pieced together, then you got to tune it. And even within the process that we're creating, it encompasses the time and the space to fine tune things. You're constantly revisiting, constantly questioning, constantly finding ways for continuous and never ending improvement. All right. So with that being said, like I said, that's that whole process of fine tuning things. And it's really ultimately where I'm at now. So it's kind of cool as you're following along. I'm essentially catching you up to where I'm currently at and what I'm currently working on. But that's like the later lesson. So where we're at right now, lesson 11 is building the perfect week. And what do you fucking know? It takes me 23 minutes to get to the main core here. But I honestly, I love it. I used to feel like I had to show up a certain way and I had to format things a certain way, and I needed to get to the point, which I have gotten a lot better with, and it has been an intention of mine. But at the same time, and at the same time, I give myself the freedom to express whatever comes through me. Just me personally, and I love this about myself. I can fucking just take one tiny little detail and just open it wide fucking open and go super, super deep into one tiny little detail. And then I end up, it's kind of elliptical. Maybe I guess that would be the word. It's kind of like cyclical almost, literally the spiral of evolution. Because, one thing, just it's important to know the definitions of words. Because if I say something and I use a word or a term that you don't understand, or you might have your own interpretation, your own definition of that word that is vastly different from mine, just like God. If I just said God and I didn't give any kind of context, again, we could be on the same page with what we believe that to mean for us, although we could be vastly off. And again, it's not right, wrong, good, bad, but just getting clear on this is what I mean. And so it's I say something and then being able to kind of, okay, let me build that out a little bit. Let me flesh that idea out a little bit so then we can insert it back in to the larger discussion and then keep going around and around and around. So again. Let's wrap this bad boy up on lesson 11 here. So the whole concept of lesson 11 is really very simple because we've already done all the groundwork. It is just like with most of this shit, it's the application, the consistent application is what's going to trip you up. Okay? Because just like we talked about last time with the RPM, some things can feel a little bit tedious and monotonous. And that's on purpose. Remember, there's a purpose. Okay? So what we're going to do in lesson 11 is say basically everything that you learned in lesson 10 with the RPM and how that whole process breaks down. It's the same exact shit. We're just doing it on a bigger scale. So we talked about the RPM as it relates to the day and how to go about structuring your day. So now we're going to take the same exact concept and we are going to do that for the week. I find that there's, like you did the Divine Nine and you fleshed out your ultimate results, your intention, your purpose, your ultimate result, your 90-day and 1 year results. And then, obviously the process and all that stuff. But, we kind of already built out the 90-day result. So it's like we already know where we're heading. And I think that's why it was so important to go through everything that we've been through to get here and why I don't just like to teach this up front is because in order for this system to really work is, just like a map, you got to know where you're going and you got to know where you're currently at. And that's what we've identified thus far, where you're going, where you're currently at. So now we have something to work with. Okay. And there's a real beauty in the week. Obviously the day is important, but days fly by. But the week is like this kind of fundamental cycle that is small enough to manage effectively, although big enough to really make some big changes and like to really make some big moves in your life. So that's why, I love the whole week process. Because like I said last time when we talked about the day, once you build the week out, the days are a fucking breeze, bro. Just like this podcast. Like, I already knew this was going to happen. It was already done before I even got to today. It was already done on Sunday. When I built out my week, this podcast was already done. So when I got to today, Tuesday, this is Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. I think it's about getting close to like 10:30 in the morning. When I planned out my week, this was already done. And you know what the fuck I'm going to do after this? I'm going to pause this. I'm going to set up my whiteboard and we're going to break down step by step lesson 11 and break down the week. But again, these podcasts are like the deeper dive version of the lesson. The lesson is very to the point. This is what to do. This is how to do it. The podcast, we get to kind of expand a little bit. Okay. So fundamentally, it's all you're doing. You're just doing the same shit for the week. But let me break it down for you. So step 1, you need to complete and celebrate the previous week. So you reflect on the previous week, just like the same process with the RPM, just like you do at night before while you're closing up the day. You check off what got done, what's in progress, what got leveraged, what needs to get carried over, what didn't get completed, what didn't need to happen. All those things we talked about. You do that, and then what were your wins? What went well? What were some magical moments, as Tony Robbins calls it? What went well? Like what can you celebrate over the week? What were the wins? And then what needs to get carried over? What needs to be improved upon? What direction do I need to continue to head, or what's the new direction that I need to head for this week? That's all part of the reflection on the last week, and then. Step 2, and actually before I get to step 2, we're going to do a little restart here. Step 2 is you boop boop. And I'm trying to remember I do this every fucking week, but when I do it it's different than what I'm talking about. So step 2 is you overview take that back. Step 2 is your KPIs. So step 2 is everything that you're measuring, everything that you're keeping track of, which are, again, all related. You've already done this work. You already know what you're measuring because you did the Divine Nine. So step 2 is just you And I'll show you on the video course. I have just a little Google sheet. Again, you don't need to make this fucking complicated. You can even do it on hand if you want. I liked having like a more cloud universal version that I can carry around, digitally. So I have a little Google sheet. It's really simple. It's like, okay, here's the things that I'm measuring. Here's my goals for the quarter on each of these things that I'm measuring. Here's the date. And then here's the number. So you go through and you track whatever you're tracking, and you just jot down the numbers. So you're measuring. So you can see where things are, and then you start to see patterns, you start to see discrepancies, and then that gives you, that's part of the fine tuning process too. So you're like, okay, this, here's my goal, and I've been doing this, the key process, but the metric that I've been measuring hasn't been moving. So that's either a reflection of the key process, that could be a reflection of your own beliefs about how you're going about it, or a reflection of the measurement itself. Maybe you're not really, the key process, the thing that you love to do, and how you're measuring it in relation to your ultimate result. Maybe there's some kind of misalignment there. Okay. So that's, going through the KPIs every week gives you the chance to see that and see how things are going, and have like a very grounded metric to keep track of. Okay. And then step 3, you're going to review. Well, and actually, did we do this? I don't know. I don't remember if we've done this, and this might actually be part of the lesson. Yeah, I don't think we've actually done this. So here, good that it's coming up right now. So step 3, and this will be like your homework. Part of your homework in the lesson is you need to review your ultimate vision and your ultimate purpose, which is basically you've kind of fleshed out the individual areas of your life, your different life types, but then you need to create something that encompasses everything, like all of those pieces together. So what's your ultimate vision for your life? Kind of the thing that everything else is standing upon. Okay? And like for me, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to share it with you, okay? Just so you get an idea. So give me one sec. I need to grab my paper. It's actually right here. So right back. Okay. So I'm going to read mine to you right now. Okay? So you get a feel. My ultimate vision. You see, it's not something super long. It's like maybe 3/4 of a sheet of paper, just normal font, normal spacing, all that. So, and I typed this out. I'd really, just like your Divine 9, like I'd really encourage you to type it out. Maybe you write it out at first, because you that's a better process for you. But I don't know, something about like having like a more official kind of document has some weight and some power to it. I mean, it has some actual weight to it. All right. So my ultimate vision. I am an extraordinary human being that is capable of achieving anything. I'm a wizard and a magician that uses the process of life alchemy to manifest my dreams into reality. I'm strong. I am a genius. I am loving. I am compassionate. I build myself up so I can lead the way for others. I'm an example of strength in all aspects of my life. I am a world-class athlete. I am a genius businessman and entrepreneur. I am a facilitator of life-changing transformation. I am a vessel for spirit. I use my creative abilities to create experiences that inspire and move the masses at the deepest levels. I am wholeness seeking more wholeness. I own multiple businesses, all dedicated to serving myself, my family, and the world at the highest level, and creating opportunities for us all to experience the abundance that is all around us. I am using my ever-expanding skill set and creative abilities to foster ecosystems that are self-regenerative and anti-fragile. I am surrounded by a tribe of strong, beautiful, intelligent, spiritually evolved men and women that are aligned with my vision and willing to serve me, themselves, and the community through love, relationship, and stewardship. I am continually evolving my awareness of and connection to the oneness that I am. The more I realize this within myself, the more I am able to help others see it within themselves. My life is a series of greater and greater successes and increasing joy and fulfillment. I have an amazing home and family that I love to be with, and I'm also at home wherever I choose to go. I can work and live equally as effectively and pleasurably at home or on the road. I have more money than I could possibly spend, and I use it in ways that create more opportunities for myself and others, and I invest it into building systems that no longer require money to thrive. I am known and embraced across the world for the value that I bring as an athlete, artist, coach, entrepreneur, and spiritual leader. My genius is in synthesizing the complex into the simple that can be accessed by anyone. I am living so fully that even death is but another step in my evolution to an even greater experience of all I am. So that's my ultimate vision, and my ultimate purpose is, and this is pretty short, just like a sentence, literally one sentence. My purpose is to be a humble vessel for spirit to move through to create experiences that allow me to realize my ultimate potential and continue to grow my awareness of all I am. So that is why, the why behind the ultimate vision. Okay? So that's my ultimate vision and my purpose. And now again, this is something I wrote this like last year, and honestly, there may be some things that I would maybe kind of update or reword a little bit, and that's cool. But either way, without even doing anything, just having this is for me, this feels like a very encompassing piece of what I ultimately feel like I'm here to co-create in my life. Okay. And then as a bonus, and again, this is something I highly encourage, although for the system to work, it's not completely necessary like all the other steps, but still something. And this is, again, I learned from Tony Robbins, and I included within this, and it's called the Code of Conduct. So basically, Code of Conduct is like, how am I choosing to show up on a daily basis? Okay. So I'm going to read this to you. As you can see, again, it's not super long, like, 2/3 of a page, half a page. All right, so Code of Conduct. Each and every day it is my mission to lead with love. I always act out of integrity and do what is in alignment with my highest purpose. I know that there is no thing and no one to fear because all is exactly as it should be. Fear only perpetuates the illusion of separation. I inspire, enliven, and encourage every being I interact with. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. I speak my truth even when it's hard to hear, while not infringing on others' rights to live their own truth. I am the man that can get the job done. I am not afraid to do the work I feel called to do. My superpower is my alignment and the effectiveness of my thoughts, words, and actions. I don't always have the right answers, but I always know the right questions to ask. I allow myself to freely express my full range of emotions without allowing them to move me from my center. I have the capacity for deep empathy and compassion. I bring life to every party without needing to be the life of the party. I am playful, fun, and exciting to be around. People always leave me feeling better than before. I bring out the best in others. Each day I am managing my mind, body, and emotions as effectively as possible. I take care of myself so that I can take care of others. I am a magnet for my ultimate potential. My sole mission is to be all that I can be so I can do my part in helping others be all they can be. Okay? So that's my code of conduct. And that is, like I said, that before you do the week, well, you could do the week without necessarily doing this, but this is a powerful step as part of the week. And ultimately it is a requirement of the week, because this is like your reflection every week of, and it's kind of like you're just checking yourself, like, because it can be so very easy to get wrapped up in all the to-dos and all the things that feel very urgent and sometimes may even feel very important. Sometimes may very well be urgent and important. But this is to reorient you back to, no, this is my ultimate vision. This is ultimately what I'm here to do. This is why I'm here to do it. And this is how I choose to show up every day. Okay? And just having that constant reminder every single week. So that is step 3. You read over your ultimate vision, your purpose, your code of conduct, And then you read over each one of your life types. And this is all here in this little stack of paper that I have. So I've typed out, as you can see, I've typed out, well, maybe if you're listening to this, you can't see, we're on the video. I typed out each one of my life types. Okay. And so I don't know if I've shared mine or not, but I will. You know what? I'm just going to share all of these right now. So just fuck it, strap in. So life types for me. And remember when I talked about the life types, I talked about how there's always two sides. There's always a yin and a yang. So I have the creator, which on the other side of that is the disruptor. I have the leader. On the other side of the leader is the lover. Teacher, student, master, apprentice. Okay? And I'm just gonna walk through these quickly, okay? So divine 9 for each one of my life types. Here we go. Creator, intention. I'm in full alignment with all I am. Every utterance of my being expressed by any and all means is an explosion of my unique genius in ways that continue to add wholeness to more wholeness. 2, purpose. Express all I am to experience all I am. Ultimate result. 3, perform a sold out world tour. So you can see how, for me, that ultimate result is a physical, tangible, measurable result that represents the manifestation of the intention. Okay? 4, roles or masks. Artist, musician, MC, inventor, disruptor, genius, wizard, designer, engineer, entrepreneur, pioneer, architect, writer, speaker, teacher. So all the different roles that I play within this life type. 3, to thrive. Number 5 are modes of expression. 1, create music. 2, create experiences. 3, create resources. Very simple. Resources. Number 6, studio, social media, network, venues, my own creativity. 7, 1-year result is 1,000 Spotify streams per week. So this and you can see how this relates to my key process. And then 90-day result is 100 Spotify streams per week. Okay. And then number 8, the key process is create music for 2 hours per week. So again, something that I love to do anyways. And by doing that process in itself, it leads to it has a direct impact on the 1-year result and the 90-day result. And then what am I measuring? Number 9, KPI and frequency is weekly Spotify streams. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to go through all these just so you know. All right. And again, you could talk about this shit all day. Do the fucking work, motherfuckers. That's where it's at. Do the fucking work. All right. Next one, leader, lover, intention. I am an example of ultimate potential. I empower others to realize their full potential and lead, serve in ways that are aligned to the ultimate vision. My ultimate vision. Or really the ultimate vision, if you wanted to take it even further. Purpose. 2, realize a potential far greater than I can ever do alone. Do my part in creating the best experience possible for us all. 3, ultimate result. My net worth is $1 billion. For me, that is a physical, measurable, tangible representation of the realization of the intention for the lifetime. 4, result or roles, masks. Entrepreneur, investor, leader, problem solver, father, server, empty vessel, partner, husband, owner, artist, teacher. 5, 3, to thrive, modes of expression. 1, build and own businesses. 2, create and invest in non-depreciative assets. 3, partner, delegate, leverage, empower, and collaborate. 6, resources, people, other businesses, credit. And as I'm coming to learn now, I already have a fucking infinite credit, okay? I am the fucking credit. I am the creator of the credit, and so are you. That's we'll probably get to that later in the lessons, all right? Trust me, this is going deep. Like we're just getting warmed up, y'all. All right, 4, capital. The money I already have. 5, systems and information. 7, okay, so number 7 of the divine 9 for this. 1-year result, 100 life collective community members. And if you're listening to this and you're not a community member, I highly, I invite you. Come on in, y'all. We're continuously, we're just getting started, but we're growing and growing. We're expanding, and ultimately the goal is to. I've read you my ultimate vision and everything. Like, this is me. This is all of it. So you kind of get a feel of like, what I'm here to do, and being a part of that community ultimately is here to help us all. Okay. 90-day result. 50 Life Collective community members. Okay. Process, my key process, 1 hour design session per week. And again, like these are kind of like minimums for me and something that I already want to do and I would already naturally do. I'm just making it a non-negotiable commitment to myself. Okay. And most of the time I spend way more than 1 hour doing design work, which again, for me is like literally sitting in this fucking chair with a notebook and just thinking. Okay. That's my design work. So 1 hour session per week. Number 9, KPI and frequency. So what I'm measuring and how often. Life Collective community members measured weekly. And as you can see, there's the direct, that relates directly to the 90-day result. And for me, I've identified that 1 hour design session is where I really kind of plan out like, okay, what kind of marketing strategies, like how does this all work together? Yada, yada, yada. All the kind of business decisions get mapped out there. All right. We got 2 more, y'all. Boop, boop. All right. This is the teacher/student archetype or life type. It can be called archetype too. Don't really matter. Fuck them. Intention. I am simultaneously expanding my knowing of all I am while effortlessly transmitting that knowing to all that are open to receive give. 2, purpose. So I can experience all of myself with myself. 3, ultimate result. 100,000 optimal evolution coaches. Okay. 4, roles. Teacher, coach, mentor, father, partner, leader, spiritual master, empty vessel, student, knower, speaker, author. 5, 3 to thrive, modes of expression. 1, create, test, systematize, and teach my curriculum. And here the fuck we are. 2, leverage other establishments to grow student base. That's what I'm currently in the process of. 3, continue to deepen my studies and expand my awareness of all I am. Always in the process of that. 6, and when I say always in the process of that, I'm always in the process of just remembering that it's already here the whole fucking time. Okay. 6, resources. 1, my soul, my own connection with myself. 2, coaches/mentors. 3, educational resources. 4, students. 5, other establishments. 7, 1 year result. 1,000 YouTube views per week. 90-day result. 100 YouTube views per week. Key process, 1 YouTube video per week. There we go. 9, KPI and frequency, weekly YouTube views. So you can see how there's alignment with all of those, okay? All right. And 1 more. Master. Intention. And this master apprentice. Intention. I have obtained full mastery and control of every aspect of my being, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I am fully and continually tapped into infinite intelligence, power, love, and abundance of all I am. Purpose. The more I access my own power, the more I can share that power with the rest of me. Okay. 3, ultimate result. I am a world champion weightlifter and power lifter. Okay. 4, roles, mass, athlete, teacher, coach, spiritual master, entrepreneur, father, husband, leader. 5, 3 to thrive. 1, continue my daily spiritual practices. 2, seek immersive transferences, teachings, and experiences from incarnate and ascended masters. 3, be spiritual guide for others. 6, resources. 1, Tai Chi and meditation. 2, just life in general. 3, intention and willingness to evolve. 4, books and courses, educational resources. 5, Paul Chek and other experienced practitioners. 6, training. 7, relationships. Okay, and then 7, 1 year result. Place top 3 at American Open Finals in weightlifting. 90-day result. Achieve a 300 kg total between my snatch and my clean and jerk. Key process. Train 5 times per week. Okay. 9, KPI and frequency. Olympic lifting total measured weekly. And what I just stated there is basically the premise for the whole programming system. We're going to get into like programming and, establishing rhythms for your we're going to get into all of that shit. Like I don't even think I know how deep this goes, let alone you don't even know how fucking deep this goes. But we're gonna keep going, okay? And at the same time, I don't necessarily want this to be an ongoing thing. Like I do want there to be some kind of conclusion, but maybe there won't be. I don't know. I don't really know yet. I'm just taking this week by week and trusting the flow of surrender as I remind myself every single day. All right. So there's a little sneak peek into kind of my process, my own personal thing. And, you don't have to share this with anybody. Me, like, I just don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. You can copy this if you want. I'm gonna upload this into the course. So if you're in the course, you'll have access to this. So you can kind of, again, either like copy and paste it if you want. Although if you're just copying and pasting this, like what are you really even doing? But just so you have an example, so you can create your own. Okay. All right. So here we are. That's number 3. That was number 3. Step number 3. Okay. Now, step number 4, this really kind of just gets into the main process that we're already aware of just on a week scale. So you have your RPM week planner sheet, and then you have your capture list. So step 4 is to capture. And ideally, kind of by the time you've gone through this, you reflected on the last week, you've done your KPIs, you already know your key process, like all that shit. So the capture list, again, you're just dumping everything. And ideally, again, you should include your key processes as like a foundational element. And then, everything else. And again, there's a section, there's a area for your own personal things, ideas, wants, needs. And then there's an area for communications, which is the things that involve other people. Okay. So you just, again, go through your capture list, and there is a section on there. I don't personally use it at this point in time, although I still feel like there may be some use for it in the future. But I have a section where you can, write down a role and then like a specific result for that role. So if like this week, I really wanted to step into my role as an athlete, and I have a specific result for the week for that role, I can put that there. So there's a space for that. Again, I don't currently use that, but it's there. All right. So that's the step 4. And then step 5 is you do your RPM blocks. So literally same process you went through during the week. And we're going to break this down when I go through the course video. The same process you do for your day, you do for the week. So you ask yourself, what is the most important intention for this week as a whole? And that's your first intention. And then your purpose. Why is this intention important to me? And then what is the tangible result of that intention, the tangible representation of that intention? And again, for me, and you might find the same thing, that once you go through this process, there might just be one main intention for the week, one main result for the week. When I first started doing this, I would have like 5, 6, 7 main results, and I literally have like damn near 100 to-dos, okay, related to all those different results. And to be quite honest with you, when I first started doing this, it was like a 5-hour process, like on Sunday, that I would sit down and like go through each one of these steps. Because again, like I just kind of forging my own path in this shit. So I didn't really know, but I learned. And that's why I'm here to share with you. So right now, and for me, it's very, I try to keep things as simple and as minimal as possible. I don't want to do extra fucking work. Like, I'm at a point in my life where I really feel like I'm kind of moving into this king phase where the warrior is not dead. The warrior is still very much alive, but I feel like it's a more mature warrior energy, in the sense that like I've been to battle in my own little world. And that's, for me, like a lot of that's training and just life in general. Like I've been to fucking battle. There's not to say that there's, just like being a king. It's like the battles aren't done, and you very well, you may have to go off the battle again, but that's not your main focus. And so for me, it's like I'm always trying to minimize the amount of shit that I need to do, like the amount of commitments that I make, and really maximizing the amount of time that I have just for free, like playtime, like literally. And that's like, the more you play and the more you create space to just play. And by play, it could be, you playing your little fucking video games and shit on your phone, on the TV or whatever. Like I think there's a place for that. But playing like a child that hasn't been just, fed a phone or a tablet to pacify it, but like a child where it's like there's nothing to do. But hey, I got this stick over here. I got this rock over here. Let me go find some leaves. Like I don't know. Like there's like things that seem so mundane to us now because we automatically just have a label and a condition for them. To a child, it's just all very new and it's all open and there's endless possibilities and there's not all these beliefs about what should and shouldn't happen. Like, oh, I shouldn't play with that, or oh, I shouldn't do that, or oh, those things aren't meant to go together. It's just unbound play. There's no results. There's nothing you're after. And for me, that is the most productive time for me because that's when you're making new connections. That's when you can figure out that one question with the one answer that is already embedded in the way that you're asking the question that makes all the other shit that you're working so hard to do irrelevant. Because it's just like, no, I can try to do all these million things. Or I just do this one thing. And that's what we're really after here. And that's, the power of unbound play. It's like, when you're taking a shower, when you're meditating, when you're doing the dishes, like I purposely like to create daily time of like actually doing mundane activities, like the whole Karate Kid where he had, I don't remember the names of any of the characters or whatever, but he had the apprentice, the kid, literally doing chores. And it seems unrelated, but the master knew like this is where the real magic happens. Because when you're doing these mundane things and you just give yourself space, that's when the real essence, the real power starts to shine through. But either way, I feel like I'm kind of moving into this king phase where it's like, I don't need to do any extra shit. My job is to make sure all these systems are in place and like teaching and like really passing on. This is my legacy here. Okay. All right. Yeah. So you do all the RPM blocks, which again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I think we went over that in great detail last lesson. Okay, then we do your RPM blocks for each one of your intentions. And for me, usually it's just one. So I just have one RPM block. So intention, purpose, result, massive action plan. So then you kind of go and cross off and check through all of the action items, all the things that were on the capture list, make sure everything's accounted for. Then you do the prioritization, asterisk the things that are must, duration, how long are these things going to take me? And then who can I leverage to? Who can I ask for help? And then you add it all up, bada bing, bada boom. And then, so that is that's number 5. Step number 6 is then you kind of build out your week. Just like in the day where you kind of outlined your day and you just kind of gave yourself like general time blocks. In the week, you kind of just allocate main tasks to specific days. And when you look at the sheets, you'll see what I mean. So you kind of date the different days. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then each one of those days, you have space to then like, okay, what are the main things that are going to happen this day? All right, so Monday, I'm going to write my blog. I'm going to train. I'm going to coach. Tuesday, podcast, YouTube, train, meeting with my buddy Johnny. All right. Wednesday, music, train, coach, yada, yada, yada. Thursday, business meeting, design work, music. Okay. So I write down like the main shit. And this is where you don't need to list out everything, although you can if you want to. But for me, I just list out, these are the must. Like these are the things that need to be scheduled in, like appointments that I'm making with myself. Okay. And what do you know? We're about to cross the hour mark here, y'all. I'm going to restart the skin. Don't fall on me now. All right. And then, so you do that. And then I think like on one of the sheets it asks you, okay, what are your top 3 to 5 results that you're after for the week? And then, you kind of just like, okay, what are the main things that need to happen? Like my main focus. And then the next question is, what challenges may arise? Like, what am I going to do if I'm presented with different challenges to make sure that these things that I've committed myself to happen? And again, whatever comes to you, it's like you do whatever you want there. All right. And then the last step, this is step number 7. The last step is I do this on a Google Calendar. I have a little Google Calendar. You can use, whatever kind of calendar software you want. Doesn't really matter. I use Google Calendar because it kind of just like I just have everything linked. So I can do it on my computer and then it shows up on my phone and it links to my Calendly so nobody can like schedule once I have committed to certain time. So it's all across the board. Everything's synced up. I'm sure there's other apps that do that. I don't really give a fuck. This works for me, at least for now. So I go to my Google Calendar and then I just block out the times when the non-negotiables, the things I've already outlined, on when I did my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, yada, yada, yada. I block all those times in my calendar. So it's like Monday. All right, well, I'm going to blog during this time. That's a non-negotiable, a key process for me, a key thing that needs to happen. And then I'm going to coach at this time. I'm going to train at this time. And then I'm going to, and that's it. Like, that's the main shit. And again, when you do the calendar, because you've already done all this work on the back end, when I go and fill out my calendar, I used to if there was white space in there during the day, I'm like, bro, what the fuck? We got to fill it all up. And so every single day was just like this, from 7, 8 in the morning all the way till 7 o'clock at night. It was just all full. And I realized okay, well, there's so many different other factors, which again is why we do the bigger picture of the week and then the overall vision and lifetimes is because by the time you get to the day, I'm telling you, you literally just flow. And that's where the genius comes through. You just flow. And so when I'm creating my calendar, I'm scheduling the must, but no more than that. And again, I'm not fucking perfect. It's a constant work in progress, but that's my intention. I just schedule the must. And for me now, it's more of a game of how much white space can I leave on my calendar? How much free space can I leave on my calendar? And so I only schedule what absolutely must happen at a specific time. Even important things, if it doesn't have to happen at a specific time, if I can kind of just flow into it, it's just something that I'd like to have happen by the end of the week, I don't schedule it. I just leave it open because the whole point of this is when you have that free time and when you have committed yourself to the non-negotiables, the things that are going to be the most important, they may not always feel urgent, but they are the most important. When you already have that all locked in, then you can just allow whatever to come up. And you inevitably, at least this is my experience, you will do the things that need to be done when you give yourself just the space to do it, even though you don't necessarily schedule it in, okay? And that's really the power of it. Because when you watch me during the day, and even my own internal experience, it's I'm just doing me. I used to be so stressed day to day. And of course I would just deny that all fucking day and just say, no, I feel great. After, getting 4 hours of sleep for a week in a row and yada, yada, yada. But really now it's just I'm just flowing. Again, I'm not always super high, happy, yeah. Sometimes I'm low. And that's where equanimity comes in. And again, having this process in place is so important because regardless of the kind of the fluctuations day to day, which are natural, y'all, you're not supposed to be fucking happy every day. It's cool. You don't even happiness isn't even something that you really even need to strive for unless it's what you really feel called to. It's really just more of, if you strive for anything, just strive to have nothing to strive for. Strive to just be. Because from that being is where you shine through. All right. But yeah, if you're if you're just watching me go about my day, just like a fly on the wall, it's I'm really not doing that much. I spend a lot of time just sitting there. Okay. And there's some days like today, Tuesdays are kind of my big office days where I am kind of on go all day. But even on these days, it's still just a flow. It's not I feel all this pressure, although sometimes I do. And a lot of that's just my own beliefs and, kind of self-doubt and all the same shit. I'm a fucking human being. But even still, it's just I know it's all going to get done. And even still, because I've done the RPM process, I know what my one key result is for the day. Okay. And I know, again, just like this podcast, just like the YouTube, it's already done. I've already scheduled it. It's already done. Okay. And then you just flow. All right. So that's the process. And I do that every Sunday. Although when I'm taking a rest week, which again, in the later lessons, I'll kind of show you how to even create a bigger system of flow to encompass all of these things. I call it just, identifying your rhythms and cycles for yourself. But there are weeks that I intentionally take off of everything and I won't do the process. And it's intentional to kind of give me space. Because again, even this whole system, as powerful as it is, it can still be a crutch. It can turn into a dogma. It can turn into an ism. And, as much as I say I don't want that to happen, inevitably it'll fucking happen and whatever. But that's why I intentionally take space away. It's like, if I was going to church every Sunday, there'd be times where I would not. I would maybe take some weeks off, or at least a week, because I want to give myself anything worth believing in and worth putting this much energy and effort into and time and, any other resources is worth challenging. Any belief worth believing in is worth challenging on a regular and consistent basis. Okay. So those times that I take off away from the structure, I call them my fast. Those times that I fast, not always from food, just fasting in general. I think I talked about last time. The times that I fast are the space that I create to really kind of step outside of the system and to see, because you can see like, okay, what's working, what needs to be adjusted, what am I just doing because I said I was going to do, but it's not really having a, big impact, and it's kind of just like tedious and monotonous, and like what is really needs to stay. And every single time, this whole process, like it just keeps developing. And like when I don't do this, it's like when you're doing it every day, it feels like, it kind of feels tedious and monotonous. Like, what am I doing? But then when I have those times where I don't do it, I'm like, oh, okay, this is why I do this. This is why I have this system. This is why I have this structure in place. Because paradoxically, when it's not there is when I'll actually start to feel more stress, because all these things that I have structured already, they're not there. And so now it's just these things like swirling around, and I don't know what to do. Like I wake up, and again, when I take the week off, that is my intention. I don't want to know what the fuck I'm doing. I literally want, and this is ultimately how I'm moving more and more in my life, where it's kind of like a moment to moment basis, really. Because like all this shit's already in place. I don't have to constantly be like 20 steps ahead of like, I'm doing this, then I'm doing that, then I'm doing that, then at 5 o'clock's this, then that. I don't want to do all of that. I just want to flow. Like if I feel this way one moment and I feel that way the next, I give myself permission to do that. And yes, Taylor, it's kind of fucking annoying sometimes, because like I'll change my mind in 5 minutes. And I think there is something to be said about, consistency and whatever, all that shit. But ultimately, I love that feeling of freedom, even with myself, knowing that even if I did say something or I did have an intention of something 5 minutes ago, that, for instance, like 5 minutes ago, I could say, oh, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to water the lawn. And what do you know? 5 minutes later, it's pouring rain. And am I still going to go outside and water the lawn just because that's what I said 5 minutes ago? Or am I going to take this moment as it is presenting itself and then act according to this moment that is presenting itself? And like, I feel like honestly, a previous version of me would have just gone out and still fucking watered the lawn, because that's what I said I was going to do. And I think there is some merit, and I think that is important. I think that's part of the warrior of, you said you were going to do something, motherfucker, you fucking do it, because your word, that is your power. And I think that's important to develop in whatever capacity that is. Like for me, that was training, where I pushed myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like to the limit, because I wanted to be like, okay, I said I was going to do this thing and I fucking do it. To where now training and the way that the whole programming system is, it's more of just a flow where it's like, okay, this is how I feel today. This is how I feel today. And there's a whole structure behind it. But I can go on and on, obviously. Let me see. So I think that about covers it for lesson 11 here. I think, that's what we got. Okay. So thank you for tuning in. I hope this was, as good for you as it was for me, because god damn it, I love to fucking hear myself talk. And when I get to look at myself in this little camera reflection thing, I think I'm beautiful. And I think it's beautiful that I get the opportunity to see how beautiful I am. Okay? And I'm not perfect. And I think that is part of the beauty. All right. I love you. And I will talk to you again very soon. Peace. Cool.